sexual activity. Captain Richard Hinton said, "I have never found a black slave whose confidence I have won, who has not told me of instances where he has been compelled, either by his mistress or by white women of the same class, to have a carnal knowledge of them." Planter wives were secretly unhappy with their lives, even though they were expected to keep a positive attitude and obey their husbands, while their husbands had many affairs with black slaves. Being forced into the role of a submissive wife was a huge blow to their egos, and they hated themselves for accepting it. When their husbands went away on business trips, the wives became extremely bored and looked to the male slaves for companionship and to fulfill their carnal needs. Mistresses and slaves had affairs considerably less frequently than their husbands and female slaves. It's not that white mistresses and black slaves didn't have romantic connections. They did, but the details were largely unknown. Women repressed their desires until their husbands' frequent trips led them to this entanglement. They were miserable and alone, and they needed someone to fulfill their deepest wishes. Harriet Jacobs also discussed the mistress's use of the black slave's vulnerability for sexual gain. They are aware that their father has absolute control. I'd personally witness it, the household's patriarch, hiding his face in shame because his daughter had chosen the most vicious slave on the estate to father her first offspring. She didn't try to woo anyone who was on par with her, not even the smarter servant at her father's field. She picked the most beaten down among them so that she could exert her power with the least risk of being discovered. They were fed up with their husband's domineering personality, so they did with slaves what they could not do anywhere else. Because they lacked authority in other areas, they rationalized their pursuit of low passions as a means of making up for their shortcomings. An intersectional analysis helps us understand how people can hold low status in one social arena while holding high status in another.